61 points, 10 rebounds, and 10 assists. This was the stat line of Nikola Jokic's best game in his career just a few months ago. But where does this rank on the list of greatest NBA performances? After spending countless hours searching through grainy game film of decades past and box score statistics of over 47,000 games across NBA history, I finally have the answer. In the early 2000s, John Hollinger created a metric called game score. This metric breaks down everything that a player does in a game into one singular, all-encompassing number. Positive stats like points, rebounds, and assists increase your score, while negative stats such as turnovers, fouls, and missed shots decrease your game score. Jokic's performance in April earned him a game score of 52.7, which ranks as the 20th best game of all time. But who had the most dominant performance of all time, and who has had the most amount of dominant performances of all time? First, there are a couple of things to keep in mind when using this stat. As good as the stat is, it is a little limited on the defensive end. Look at this play as an example. Jokic makes a good defensive play, but that's not something that's tracked on the box score and therefore not a part of his game score. The other limitation is that it masks a player's efficiency by favoring players who play lots of minutes and take a lot of shots. Take a look at this example. On January 13, 2019, Harden had a game score of 30.3 with a stat line of 38 points, 12 assists, and 9 rebounds. In another game, DeMar DeRozan had a similar game score of 30.9 with a stat line of 38 points, 6 assists, and 3 rebounds. Similar performances, right? Well, when you look deeper, you'll actually realize that Harden was only about half as efficient. Regardless, game score is one of the best stats to measure a player's performance. What does a top 5 performance of all time look like? Well, on January 2, 2023, with 2 of Cleveland's starters out for the game, Donovan Mitchell had the game of his life. Things started out poorly at first. He missed a few shots and only had 5 points at the end of the first quarter. At one point, the Cavs were down 21 points. But then things started to change. He started making shots, even making Caruso look like a bad defender. They started to double team him, but sending Vucevic as your second defender isn't much help. But this is where it gets insane. Before you know it, the Cavs are only down 2. With little time on the shot clock left, Mitchell intentionally misses the second free throw and is able to get his own rebound to tie the game. The Cavs eventually win it, with Mitchell going off for 71 points, 8 rebounds, and 11 assists for a game score of 60.8. The 4th highest game score of all time came on January 22, 2024. There was a lot of hype surrounding this game. It featured the reigning MVP in Joel Embiid versus the rookie phenom in Victor Wembanyama. Embiid flat out dominated. He bullied the Spurs big men inside, and yes, that includes Wembanyama. Towards the end of the game, he even decided to go coast to coast as a center. He finished with a stat line of 70 points, 18 rebounds, and 5 assists. We all know the 3rd best game of all time. Lakers were down 18 in the 3rd, and Kobe scores 81 points to will them to victory, the most since Wilt Chamberlain. Enough said. The 2nd best game score in NBA history came just 4 days after Embiid's historic game. Luka Doncic walked into Atlanta and dropped 73 points with 10 rebounds and 7 assists. And what's crazier is he hit 25 of 33 shots for a true shooting percentage of 91%. That's practically perfect. But still, not the best game in NBA history. The single greatest individual performance in NBA history was by Michael Jordan on March 28, 1990, when he had 69 points, 18 rebounds, 6 assists, 1 block, and 4 steals. In a career full of iconic moments, this one stands out not because it was flashy, but because it was total control, a reminder that when Jordan wanted to break you, he did. So that's the top 5, but let's zoom out now. Which players appear in the top 100 multiple times? Here's a chart that shows the most dominant players in NBA history on the left axis and how many times they've had a top 100 game on the bottom axis. We see players like Wade, LeBron, and Curry have a few top 100 games, but as we scroll up, we see players like Damian Lillard, who's much further from the pack with 8 games. His best game was on February 26, 2023, when he torched the Rockets for 71 points, 6 assists, and 6 rebounds for a game score of 57.6, the 7th best of all time. Second on the list is James Harden with 9 top 100 games, but the player who is in a league of his own with the most dominant games in NBA history is none other than Michael Jordan. But he didn't just dominate, he dominated in a flash. 9 of his top 12 games came within just a couple seasons of each other. It's only fitting that the best player has both the best game of all time and the most dominant performances of all time. However, what's even more interesting about this list is the amount of active NBA players there are. Go ahead and try to count them. Out of these 15 players, 9 of them are active NBA players today. But this isn't just a coincidence. The NBA players of today have had more and more historic performances in stat lines. Fred VanVleet had 54 points against the Magic in 2021. De'Aaron Fox had 60 points against the Timberwolves in 2024. Even a 20-year-old Devin Booker had a 70-point game against the Celtics. To put it into more context, let's take a walk through NBA history. Here's a chart showing how many of the top 100 game scorers are within each 5-year increment. There were 18 top 100 performances in the 1986 to 1990 era, which was defined by Jordan's pure, concentrated dominance. Then, things slowed down, literally. The 1991 to 2015 seasons were slow and gritty, distinguished by hand-checking defense, iso ball mid-range shots, and overall slower pace of play. Because game score doesn't adjust for pace, there were fewer standout performances during this era. Players simply didn't have as many possessions to rack up big numbers. However, by 2016 onwards, everything changed. Three-pointers, faster offenses, increased spacing, all of these optimized offenses to levels we had never seen before. Today's players are quickly rewriting history season after season, with each great performance serving as a reminder of how fragile Jordan's top spot is becoming.